So let me share this. So we'll give everybody just a few minutes, not a few minutes, a few more seconds, and then we'll start shortly. Getting there. Zev, when you're on, let me know as well. I think there's Zev. Zev, are you on now?
Hello, everybody.
Ah, there you are. All right. Found you. Cool. All right. Looks like everybody's coming in somewhat. So, Zev, let me get you on the back end here. And then we will get ready to go, guys. Zev, Zev, which one are you this time?
Should say Zeb Tablib.
I think you have like secret handles. I don't.
Hmm.
Uh, oh,
I'll send a note.
no, I
Yeah.
got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna make you the host so you can continue that part. So you're good?
Excellent.
Okay, cool. Let me share. I apologize. I should have done that first. Just give me the opportunity to share. This is only the third Zoom this summer. You feel like we should be perfect at this by
Get it
now.
down. That's right. Okay, it looks like
Just let me share. Oh, gotcha.
is it working now?
Yeah. Oh no, I have to request you.
There you go. Okay, that should work.
All right. All right, everybody. Appreciate it. Okay, cool. So Zev will be handling some of the stuff on the back end, which we'll explain, and then he'll do some stuff on the front end, which will be really exciting. I'm looking forward to an awesome day. So just to introduce myself a little bit, I'm Coach Rod. I'll get to that in the next slide. But we want this to be interactive. So any questions you guys have, type them in the chat. For the most part, we want to keep everybody on mute, but I know that questions will come up, and it's okay. Just ask them. Ask them at any time in the chat, and then Zev will get back to him. If there's a question Zev doesn't have an answer to, then Zev will just ask me or point me at it. So I'll check the chat as we're going through the Zoom, but for the most part, just keep asking questions, keep it on mute. Don't worry at any time. We'll get to all the questions for the most part. So I do want you to feel comfortable asking questions throughout the presentation, which is ultimately this is the point of this for you guys to get as much information as possible. We want you guys to be educated through this whole process. So just to tell you, right? So I've been the head coach at Oxy for 16 years. I played 4 years of Division One soccer. I'm an MLS Academy director as well. So I've been able to talk to and connect to college coaches for what amounts to almost 30 years, in a various ways, right? As a player, of course, but well, actually, a lot of the, not a lot, well, actually, I would say a lot of coaches that coached me in college, like all the coaches in the Big West almost, are still there, So when I was playing, so I know them, and obviously, knowing all these coaches throughout the time. So I do have a lot of opportunity to speak to coaches. So I just want to help share that knowledge with you guys. I also have two young kids. They're still earlier in the process of this, but we'll be going through it soon. And then for our camp over the last 15 years, we've sent over 500 people to colleges. So I think it's important to know that there's a pathway and that we can be helpful during this whole process. Zev, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit as we go.
Hi, everyone. Some of you probably, hopefully, anyways, have seen me. My name is Zev, otherwise known as the College Soccer Guy on Instagram and TikTok. Um, that being said, Rod is the best at this, and I say that without being bribed at all. My experience in this is really to be kind of an unbiased opinion in that I am just here to educate. That's all I do is I just tell people online like how to get help. I do, of course, have a service where I help you, and if anybody would like more individual help, that's what I'm here for today to answer questions. And if you guys go, look, I want some more individual help with this, I'm here for that. Rod recruited me once upon a time when I was your age, and he hosts such a good ID camp. because you guys will actually get genuine feedback. And so I don't put my name anywhere unless I really think and believe in it. So that is why it's so awesome that you guys are all here. And then to have the opportunity to speak to obviously a college coach. I am not a college coach. I'm an educator and I've played college soccer. I played pro soccer and I've worked in the college landscape for a long time now. But to get to have Rod here and ask questions is great. And I see some questions coming in. So continue to do so. Rod mentioned at the end of the call, I'm going to kind of randomly pick on somebody if you're open to it and take a look at your highlight video. Rod and I will both do it and we'll kind of give you like a 30 to 60-second. Here's what we think you should fix about your video. Tell us maybe one thing about your situation. And we won't spend too much time with everybody because we don't have time for everybody, but you'll get a taste of what it looks like to work with me on an individual basis when we do that. So I would just say for those of you that are interested, have your highlight videos ready. We'll do that at the end of the call. And otherwise, we're excited to answer questions. If we don't answer it right away, we'll get to it at some point. So thank you so much.
Cool. So some recent Division One updates, right? For Division One, the 5 year thing is real, in terms of when players can play now. So meaning, again, if it's following the student's 19th birthday or high school graduation or coming into that year, essentially, this is really just to probably clean up the 27-year-olds that are playing, Division One soccer, essentially. It's just right now in Division One. It's not yet going to Division Two, although Division Two is probably going to follow shortly. It's not a Division Three rule just yet, but a student in means can also play 5 years. So that will squeeze things a little bit, potentially, right, for some recruits down the line. So that's something potential. It would potentially just start this year. So we don't know exactly what that looks like in the long term, but it just means, of course, if college players can play for 5 years, maybe there'll be less recruiting spots. I don't know. It's hard to, gauge what that looks like over the coming years. There's a move in the men's Division One soccer to try to play a split semester. It went back, so it's not officially starting this year. It's going a little bit back and forth, but that would change a little bit the landscape as well of college soccer on the men's side if it happens and it stays, which these are all just new things right now. So it's hard to know exactly what it means, but there are some new updates as well. And the thing that is definitely that's helped is the transfer portal openings are shorter, and that's been beneficial. That's beneficial for you as a incoming high school senior or junior or sophomore, because ultimately, if coaches are just picking transfers instead of 17-year-old kids, 16-year-old kids, that's not helpful for you in general, right? So tightening the transfer windows has actually been positive. So those are some new things. In terms of what is the case, about 450,000 men's soccer players domestically are playing high school club soccer, right? About 40,000 go on to play college soccer. That's about 1,200 programs. So the average class size, if the average class size is about 8 players, it's 9,600 spots in a year, right? So not tons of spots, right? So then when you look at it, so about 1 to 2% are playing Division One soccer that come out of that, about 1 to 2%. Also Division Two. I didn't fix that on the slide. I apologize. Division Three is about 3 to 4% that are playing, maybe 5% on the top end that are going to play, ultimately. And then junior college, you have other teams as well. The women's side, you have a little bit more. You have less women's soccer players that are coming out of high school age soccer players, but and you have slightly less, but you have more spots, which is great, right? So percentages about.
I would have came here,
Oh,
but I don't know
just
if
make sure to mute everybody. There's a.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Very bad decision.
Zeb, hit that mute to everybody. Thank you. Oh, there you go. And then about 2 to 3% Division One on the women's side. So there is more opportunity for Division One on the women's side, which was awesome, which is amazing, right? We want to have all these opportunities. So there are a few more on the Division One level than Division Two level. For Division One men's, about 200 schools, 205 about. There's a roster cap of 28, just like in the women. Highest level competition in general. There are some Division One programs that are not great, and there are some Division Two and Division Three programs that are amazing. So it's not just straightforward that Division One is the best, Division Two is the second best, and Division Three is the third best. But overall, in general, Division One programs, that's usually the highest level of competition, certainly among the top end of Division One, without a doubt. There's no, for some people, because I think they asked this, like there's no promotion relegation, so it's not like, okay, a Division Three program just hasn't won a championship of sorts and they haven't moved up to Division Two. It's just an indication of resources from the school. How much ultimately do they want to spend in their athletic department is really the question, and sort of what's the value of the school of sports to the school, and what do they want their school to be revolved around, a little bit more athletics or a little bit more of the school or the well-rounded experience, essentially. It's just what the school believes is their mission, generally speaking, for Division One, Two, or Three. Um, for the most part, if you're playing Division One, it's school and then soccer. It's well, I'll take it back. It's soccer then school, probably. I was a Division One athlete, and the soccer piece was really important to my coaches, to everybody around. So that's always going to be a big, big part of the process in Division One, men's or women's. Division Two, similar. The difference is Division Two, you have smaller athletic programs typically. So maybe they'll only have 10 to 12 sports in the athletic program, whereas a Division One or Division Three institution might have 20 sports. And all your travel is regional in Division Two. So if you're a West Coast Division Two player, you're never going to go to the East Coast to play. Whereas if you're a Division One student athlete, you might go coast to coast to play just a regular non-conference game or a conference game. So that's probably the biggest difference. And then overall, Division Two, the top level Division Two teams are very good again. And then the middle to bottom level Division Two teams aren't as good always. So again, it's not that straightforward. A lot of Division Three teams will beat Division Two teams for sure. And a lot of good Division Three teams could even compete with a lot of Division One teams. And then there's there's a Division Three, excuse me. And this is very similar on the women's side, but and then there's Division Three, which is a bigger balance where the school is the academics is just as important as the soccer part, or in this case, soccer. So, you're not able to miss classes for practices. Travel is limited to certain things, but the reality is that the school part plays a bigger role in terms of how the professors play into the experience as well as timelines. So in the spring semester, for example, you can have probably an internship. You can probably travel abroad in Division Three institutions, not all of them, but in a lot of them. Whereas maybe in a Division One institution, or probably in Division One institution, you cannot. So if you want soccer to be the only thing for the most part, then that's probably a Division One experience. If you want a more well-rounded balance of things, that's probably a more Division Three experience. So it doesn't really have to do with how good you are in some cases. It might just be more about what you want your experience to be. And then NAIA is just Google NAIA, schools around me. They have a lot of scholarship money. This is very cool that people don't even realize sometimes that there's a lot of scholarship money on division at the NAIA level. And they might be really good places for you, to see. They're just not typically the name brand schools that you would imagine, but there's a lot, almost 200, as you can see on the men's side across the country. The women's side numbers are different. Like I said, there's 335 Division One women's soccer programs where you saw that contrasting to 205 men's soccer programs, right? So there's 130 approximately more Division One women's soccer programs. Division Two, there's about 60 more Division Two women's soccer programs. Division Three is about the same. There's a few more Division Three programs, but generally speaking, on the women's side, there's a few more Division Threes. So you can see across the board between the 130 on the between about the 200 between Division Two and Division One, you just have more opportunities on the women's side. NAIA, you have a few more programs as well. So that's exciting if you're a female player, just to be able to know that there are opportunities out there. If you do everything right, you'll have a really good chance to ensure that you're getting into the highest level possible for you that you want to be in. Recruiting timeline. So I know I saw a question in there that came recruiting timeline. Generally speaking, the recruiting timeline of the girls' side is about a year earlier than the boys' side. So if you're let's say for the boys' side, for the most part, there's not tons of recruits in their sophomore year getting offers. There are a few, there's those sort of outliers, but most of the recruiting for the boys' side, men's side, sort of goes through the middle really of junior year through that end of spring semester, junior year, summertime, and then early summer. That's sort of the 12 months. That's typically where most movement's happening. So middle of junior year to about middle of senior year. There are definitely on the men's side players that are getting recruited after that, and then there's definitely players that are getting recruited before that. But that's certainly the big, big time when things are moving. On the women's side, that's almost exactly a year earlier, sort of that middle of sophomore year to sort of middle of junior year. Doesn't mean that if you're past the middle of your junior year, well, we're in the summer now, so it doesn't mean if you're going into your senior year and you're a female player that you don't have options anymore. It just means that a lot of players maybe have already gone through that process where if you haven't found a Division One institution or Division Two institution, maybe or Division Three institution, you need to just start looking at other options, opportunities to play, because there are probably some that you can play at. You just might need to change your list, and we'll talk about your list in a little bit. But generally speaking, just to kind of give you a timeline, the main part is mid for boys, middle of junior year to middle of senior year. Main time for girls is middle sophomore year to middle junior year. You can still get a lot of things outside of that. So I'll give you an example. If you can go to camps before those times, if you can go to tournaments before those times, this would be ideal, right? You don't want to just start during that time. And then if you're past those times, you really want to just push a little bit harder on what you're trying to do, right? Videos, camps, tournaments, etc. And we'll talk about those details a little bit more. One thing that you're aiming for every year, every single year, are touch points. So those touch points that you're aiming for are you want a coach on your list, and we'll talk about your list in a little bit. You want coaches on your list to see updated highlights videos of you at least once a year, but this should be plenty of times a year. You want coaches to see you in your environment. So that means in your environment is like in your club team, in your high school team. You want coaches to see you at their camps, at a camp somewhere. And then you want a coach recommendation. You want a coach to vouch for you and talk to a college coach for you that's credible, that says, hey, Coach so and so, I am this person's coach. They're amazing. Trust me. This person is going to be a great college soccer player because I've had other players who went to college and they're just like this player, right? Or, there's a personal connection. So every single year, at least at a minimum, you want 4 touch points with all of the schools of your dreams, that you want to go to. So if, for example, whatever school is your dream school, if that school, you don't have any touch points with those schools, it's hard to say and think that realistically you're a recruit, right? So for example, if they're just emailing you like every once in a while, they're probably not, you're probably not yet serious for them yet, right? They still need to see more. Doesn't mean they don't know who you are. Doesn't mean they won't recruit you in the future. It just means you're not serious enough for them. And what I mean by that too, from the coach's side, is we want to see updated highlight videos of players that we're interested in. We want to see players as much as we can in tournaments or wherever they are in high school. We want to see players at the camps, as much as possible. And we love to hear from a coach that knows them and does them, like knows them well, that can talk on their behalf, right? We want that for the recruited players that we really want, right? And we want the players to be able to give us that. So that's just kind of, how you can gauge if schools are interested, in you, like really interested in you. If during this critical time, that sort of 12 months that we talked about, if you're getting these touch points, but you're aiming for those touch points. That's what you want every single year. Some communicating reminders, right? There's no limitations after the summer entering your junior year. So for all of you who are going into your junior year, you can communicate with coaches. They can text you, they can call you, they can email you, whatever it is. If you're a sophomore or freshman going into your sophomore year, going into your freshman year of high school, then they can't freely communicate with you except at environments like this, a camp this weekend, camps, right? So you can talk to a coach as freely as you want, everybody at camp. You can, if you're on campus, you can talk to them, right? So if you end up walking on campus and you've arranged a visit and you see them around campus, you can talk to them. Doesn't matter what grade you're in. You guys can have full conversations. If you're, like I said, at the camp this weekend, full conversations. If you've been dismissed at a tournament, it'd have to be after your junior year, after your sophomore year summer, which would basically be rising juniors and seniors. So that's where just the difference is. If you send an email and you're a freshman right now, they can only send you stuff about their camps. They can't give you direct information. So just some things to keep in mind if you've been reaching out as a freshman or sophomore and you're not hearing much, that's because they really can't. They can, however, talk to you through somebody. So if you're a freshman or sophomore, if you're really good, the coach can have a conversation via your club coach, via your whoever, and then communicate that way. So there are workarounds there. Also, if you just call their number and they happen to answer their phone, you can also talk to them there. So there are a lot of workarounds. So just for the young kids, that's how that happens. If you're wondering how did the young kids get recruited, so either they're just showing up on campus and they're having conversations, they're going to camps, and they're kind of having a workaround where somebody's speaking on their behalf. That's how it happens for the younger kids. If you've never heard anything, don't worry. Everybody's process is different. My process was unique, and I won't talk too much about it, but I had been recruited to somewhere else. I signed my national letter of intent, and then the coach got dismissed. He got fired in June of my senior year. So I'd already committed, for 6 months, had my roommate, everything. And then the coach got fired. And then we were all let out of our national letters of intent because he broke some NCAA rules and had some professional players. And so I had to find a new place to play June of my senior year. And, I had gone through the process, obviously. So I did have other coaches that had gone, taken me through that process. And because we had good relationships, and even though I didn't end up going to their schools at first, I still had enough opportunities afterward where still one of the coaches that recruited me still had space for me to go play at, at a Division I institution. And that was June of my senior year, after I'd been committed for 6 months. So, I mean, I'd graduated high school already, when this happened. So, those things can happen, and just understand everybody's situation and everybody's scenarios and process will be totally different. But if you can have good videos, if you can have good people talking to you on your behalf, and if you're gonna be good at soccer, and you stay persistent, you'll obviously have a chance. Okay, let's get specific as we go. So, creating your school list. So, one, you should hunt schools as opposed to schools hunting you. So, a general rule of thumb, everybody's in the summer right now, so for the most part, you're graduating about 12 months from now. If you're going into your senior year of high school, you're about 24 months from graduation. If you're a rising junior, you're about 36 months from graduation if you're a rising sophomore. So, and then 48 if you're a rising freshman. So, that's about how many schools you should have on your list that you're hunting and emailing, right? So let's just use just for numbers sake, let's use a rising senior. So rising senior, 12 months away, your school list should be about 10 to 15. So those 10 to 15 schools, those are the ones that you're hunting. These are the ones that you've made your list and I'm emailing when I say hunting. We'll go in the next slide for that. But these 15 schools, let's say 10 to 15, they fit your criterias, right? You're emailing them with trying to get those touch points. You're emailing them with your highlight videos. You're emailing them with, or a coach is calling on your behalf. You're sending them to come to your tournaments. You're telling them you're going to their camps, or whatever it is. You make your list. So the first is academics. Where are you? If you're a 2.0 student, you shouldn't have Stanford, Duke, and Dartmouth on your list. If you're a 4.0 student, there are some schools that you probably shouldn't have on your list either, right? Because maybe you're too academic for those institutions. So one is just the academic component. Two is the location. You should have an idea. Do I want to go on the West Coast, East Coast, Midwest? Do I not care? Is that important to me? Because even with these first two, if you imagine, if you said, okay, I want to go to an academic school on the West Coast, there's not that many schools, just that, regardless of division, you're talking about maybe 10 schools. It depends on what academic truly means to you. But if you're talking about really high academic, like very high academic, you have Stanford, Berkeley, then you have, Claremont, Pomona, Caltech, Oxy, and then whatever else maybe depends on what you define as academic. Ultimately you might only have five, if you're talking about really academic. If you're talking about just pretty good academic, it's different. But the reality is, like, even those two probably cut down the list. It's not to say, Washington and Santa Clara and Cal Poly, San Francisco aren't amazing schools either, because they are, right? It just depends on what academic means to you, in some cases. But right, you can narrow your list potentially, with that. Then you look at the size of school. So some of you probably haven't considered this, but there's a different experience to a small school versus a big school. And you might just assume, because you see it in movies, that you just want a big school with a big football program and a big basketball program. But you might also not, And so the best way to do that is go visit. Go visit. If you can visit the schools you're talking about, great. But let's say you live on the West Coast and you want to go to an East Coast school, but you don't know if you want to go big, small, or middle. If you live in Los Angeles, go visit Occidental. It's a small school. Go visit Loyola Marymount. It's a medium-sized school. Go visit UCLA. It's a large school. So even if you don't want to go to those three schools, you can still get a vibe of the school. You can still get a vibe of the campus. You can probably just walk into a classroom at some point and kind of see what a class is like. And then you can get an idea, oh, actually, I thought I wanted a big school, but I kind of don't, actually. I kind of like a small school, and that can kind of just help you gauge that. Finances are a real thing. So you have to have the conversation with your family. What do the finances look like for us? You can ask coaches. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you got to understand where the financial part is with your family. So have that conversation. So even just these first four, I think you can probably get a pretty good concise list, to be honest. Then you need to ask feedback for your level, right? So you have to actually, this is what I think for me, why I designed the camps the way I did is you'll get a verbal evaluation and a written evaluation from a college coach, right? At least one, if not two or three. So that means that you're going to be able to hear from a college coach where they think more or less is the level that you should be shooting for. Now, I'm like super, I don't think anybody should tell you what you can and can't do. And I think whatever you believe is what you believe. So I do believe that. But I think you should also take some insight into this that says, okay, these coaches are telling me this is probably the right level I should be shooting for. I should probably have some of this level, like this level for coaches I'm reaching out to. So even if you think you're a Division I player, You might be, but there still might be, if these coaches are telling you Division three is about your level, high level Division three, then don't take that as a slight. Don't take that as a, oh, he's only saying I'm Division three, or she's only saying I'm a Division three coach or player. It's not true in the sense of you're not a third tier player. It just might fit all the things that you want based on how they perceive you and what you want to do, So just give yourself more opportunities ultimately. The division piece is just like, again, like I said, that's more of lifestyle. So if you're telling me that you want to maybe have an internship, maybe you'd have a part-time job, maybe you want to explore some time off during the spring season, right? That's a little bit more of a Division three model because we're only allowed to train 24 times in the springtime. So about 8 weeks or 6 weeks, depends on how you sort of break that up in Division three. Whereas Division one has a more robust training program in the spring. And if they change the Division One rule where the season is the whole year, 10 months, it'd be even more robust, right? So maybe you're a really top-notch player, but you want to have some internships or you want to have other jobs. And, that's where the Division three lifestyle comes in. Then now you talk soccer. Now you say, okay, well, am I a goalie and they have five goalies and all of them are freshmen? So maybe that doesn't make sense. Um, do they graduate all their goalkeepers? And maybe this does make sense, things like that. And then the eighth is the playing time component. And I say that eighth because the reality is the coach could get fired and things could change really quickly. And I think what happens is most kids sort of have this flipped and reversed so that they're looking at the soccer program first. Oh, these soccer programs amazing, so I want to go here. And then they're not looking at the other things. And then they're either unhappy at the school they get to or they don't get to a school at all, right? So if you say, most people would put like a UCLA on their top list, right? And you'd say, okay, well, we all want to play at UCLA. Well, it's great. I'm sure most people do. But they can only bring in so many, and a lot of the people they bring in are transfers or grad students. So, you'd have to be that one or two domestic freshmen, potentially three maybe, that they're bringing in if you're on the boys side, or maybe the girls side as well. But boys side's more on the internationals and transfers. So maybe you should shoot for other schools as well, right? And maybe then if you're saying you wanted UCLA, then maybe you should shoot for other schools in Los Angeles because maybe you like that lifestyle. And then that kind of leads you to where you need to go. So this list is important. Make this list, please. And then once you have all the schools that fit, now you have your list. So if you're a rising senior, 12 to 10 to 15, now you start emailing these schools, right? Now you say, okay, well, how often should I communicate to these schools? What do I do? If you won a major tournament, if you've won an award, if you've done something significant, if you're heading to a camp showcase, if you're going near the campus, that's when you write them. Don't write them randomly. Write them when you have specific stuff to update them on. Sometimes players just email me about random, like, "Hey, coach, just wanted to check in," and I'm like, "Great, I don't need somebody to check in with me. I'm busy, So it's not that, right? But if they're like, "Hey, like I just won an award. I was named." ECNL top player, whatever. We're going to this tournament. I was selected in this showcase to play here, whatever. Then that's great. Here's my new highlight video. Great. I'm going to your camp. Great. That's important. So that's when you should be communicating, but that's to your list of 15. You should be doing that often. If you're a rising senior, if it's 30, if you're a rising sophomore, rising junior. And the reason for that is because you're not going to do that to 100 schools. And then you're not only going to do it to five, you kind of just have to do it as your list progresses, as you get closer and closer to your graduation. And then that's how you make the most proactive opportunity. That's how you become the most proactive in this to help sort of get through the bottleneck of all the recruits and all the players that are trying to get recruited to play college soccer. So part two of this, right? So now of your list, you attend their camps, multi-school or specifics, either is fine. Don't be anonymous. Invite coaches to showcases as well. Email them and have your coach contact them. Have all your information in one place, right? You want clean links. So here, link here is my video. And then all my academic information can be found here in your clean link. And we'll talk about that. And you want to make it easy for coaches. Don't make it difficult for coaches. Make it easy for coaches, please, because they have so many players that they're going through. Anybody who makes it more difficult than it needs to be, they're going to just get off the list. So please keep it easy for them. Here's like a template email on that, right? So, dear coach, this case, okay, so my name. One thing on this is don't do one email to every school in blind copy. That's a easiest way to get deleted. So, firstly, don't do blind copy and just do one email. Like that will get deleted and you look lazy. So don't do that. So, one school, one email. The next thing, you should put everybody who's on staff in the email. So email the head coach, the assistant coach, the goalkeeper coach, the director of recruiting, whatever, anybody that's on their website, you should put in that email because you don't know who does recruiting. A lot of times people send emails to the head coach. In most cases, the head coach, I know it's like crazy to say this, and trust me, the head coach is not doing the recruiting. The assistants are. The head coach is just doing the recruiting on the back, like the final. The head coach probably at the ultimately is just saying yes or no. The assistant coaches do all the recruiting, find the players, present the players, arrange trips, or all of that stuff, and then they then say, "Hey, head coach, we think these guys are our guys." And then head coach says, "Okay, let me go watch once." And then head coach decides. That's how 95% of college programs work. Not all, because some don't have full-time assistants. So if they don't have a full-time assistant, the head coach does more. But generally speaking, it's the assistant coaches that are doing all the recruiting work, which goes into like the camps. And, we'll talk about this later. Is a lot of people think that it has to be the head coaches at camps. The reality is it's the head coaches almost have no idea in some big programs who the heck is getting recruited, until the end. It's the assistant coaches that are doing so much of that work. So you want to put them on that email. And so anyway, that's one email, one program, but it can be four coaches in the same email, right? So you don't have to blind copy, just in the subject line, like so put Coach Rod, put my assistants, Fabian, Sean, Parsa in the same email. Coach Rod Lawfery and staff. Done. Make sure you get the right name. Make sure you don't put Coach Rod Lawfery and email it to the UCLA staff. Make sure you don't email the UCLA staff with Coach Rod's name. Make sure you don't email Rod's name with UCLA staff. Make sure that it's Rod's name with Occidental and UCLA staff with UCLA. So here's my name. Research your program. Congratulate them on something you found in on the website. Sure, they had a good season, or maybe they had a bad season, but they had a all league guy. Maybe they had somebody drafted, a girl that did well, whatever, right? I wanted to connect with you because of my whatever skill you have. I'm a fast, pacey 1v1 winger, great. Like I'm great in 1v1s, and I'm a winger, fantastic. I'm a ball winning six, amazing, great, whatever. I'm number 5, and I play, this birth year or age group, whatever. This whatever your team is. And coach would be happy to provide a recommendation for you. My coach, my club coach. I attend this high school, currently have this GPA, and again, I'm really whatever your thing is. I score a lot of goals I'm the leading scorer for my team. And there you go. If you have any awards, great, put them out there. And then you can view my profile here, this whatever your clean link is, right? And you'll be playing at the showcase tournament. And that's it, and you just put your specific stuff there. You let them know, ask them, what camps, what events they're going to. You leave your clean link, you leave your number, and that's it. So your email just, hey, coach, whoever, my name is this, and then there's your email, with the basic stuff. That should be your first template email. You can update that. That's only your first template email, but that's enough information. You don't have to do anything else in the email. Your subject line, 4.0 center back, class of 2027, whatever. Great. That's it. That's all we need, for that subject line. Videos. Zev will talk about this in a little bit. And Zev, maybe give him a preview of what you're going to do in a little bit. So maybe before we talk about this video, just a preview so they can start doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we'll do is if you guys are open to it, and I've been answering some questions, so thank you guys for asking your questions, is if you guys have your highlight videos ready, ideally in a YouTube link format, if you could put them in the chat, Rod and I are going to go through them, and we're very honest and particular, and you'll hear us say certain lessons over and over again. We've already got some people submitting, and it's okay if like yours don't fit these requirements. That's why we're going to give you advice. So it does change. But one of the things that I love that Rod has said in the past, which I think is really valuable when it comes to the recruiting process, is it is worth spending the time and or money to get the video correct. And the reason he says that, and I say that, is if we've told you all this work to do, right? You've picked the school, you've figured out whether or not it has your major. And if you send a video and the coaches don't like it, you really don't get a second shot. It's not always the case. You also may not get any feedback, which is often the case. But if the coach likes your video and you're reaching out to a school that is realistic and they like your video, you're going to be recruited, which is like the whole point. But if they don't like your video, then you are in trouble. So we'll have the opportunity to look at some of your videos and give you feedback. And those first couple clips are key.
Okay. And I've just been answering some questions as well. Okay. So, oh, sorry. Let me just go back to that real quick. So, yeah, videos. Your first video can be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, spot on, clear, clean. You will talk about zoomed in focus, your best things. So your best thing should be pretty much first, I would say. Don't have this like assumption that you're going to lead to this crescendo of okay, the coach is going to remember the last thing he sees. I can assure you, if the first thing he sees or she sees is not great, they're not going to watch the second scene, right? We get a lot of videos all the time. So, whatever the best thing you've done in the last 6 months or so should be the first thing. If you haven't created something new over the last 6 months, that's probably a problem in playing to a degree. So, I want you to almost think about it like, let's just say you broke up your list and let's say the 5 to 6 top things you've done in the last 6 months on a field, then the first one should be number one, and the second one should be number two, and the third one should be number three, 4 or 5. And then if you create something really good that comes out of that, then you just replace your bottom one and then, kind of put that new one in and just kind of keep updating your video. Again, it should be pretty recent. You can also just create a new one, so you can keep old ones if you want, and then just also create new ones if that's easier as well. You can do it that way too. I think there's multiple ways to do it. So one, there's an argument to just create a new one so coaches can sort of see your progress. There's also just keep updating ultimately the one that you have as well. That can also work. It's not that big a deal either way. You just want to make sure that it's a coach can see your progress and a coach has fresh video. You don't want them just to be looking at the same video with just one different clip. That's not ideal either. It doesn't make sense. So whatever your best thing is, if you're forward, it's got to be goals. If you're a midfielder, it depends on what type of midfielder you are, but it's playing the last pass. If you're 10, scoring goals as well. If you're 6, it's breaking up plays, and then a connection of pass. If you're an 8, it's getting box to box stuff. If you're an outside back, getting up and down the line, hitting good crosses, defending a 1v1. If you're a center back, scoring on a set piece or heading away stuff, as opposed to goalkeeper saves, as opposed to just like a square pass to the left or a square pass to the right, or you dribbling in the corner and then dribbling out of pressure or something. And it's like, well, that's a thing, I guess, but I don't know the value of that, if that's your first clip, unless it's unless you megged 5 people and then you end up scoring the goal, but then it's you scored the goal. So just make sure that it's your best stuff. It can be short. And the reality is that, music choice, just don't spend too much time on music choice. Just don't make it offensive. You can also have somebody talking over it. So if you look at this video, right, you can imagine some video is playing right now. And then let's say it's me, I'm your club coach, and it'd be like, hey, my name's Rob Lafrey. I'm the head soccer coach at Occidental College. I also coach, so whatever at the club level. And I think he'd be a great fit for college soccer because of this, right? So then you can have somebody talking on your behalf over the video while the video is playing. That's also helpful sometimes for a coach to hear what a college coach is saying about him or her and then seeing the video, right? So there's just little ways to make your videos a little bit better, a little bit sharper. Once you talk to a coach in person, look at them in the eyes. Once you've connected to them, right? Know about their roster, know about them and their program. That helps coaches feel like, oh, wow, this person's done their research. Amazing. That makes coaches feel better. So that's actually something that's really important. Be consistent in your communication and be professional as well. There's questions to ask, some questions not to ask. Questions to ask. What does a typical day look like? No problem. How does your team balance academics and soccer? No problem. What roles do first years play? No problem. This one, the reason this one's in yellow, where do you see me fitting into your program? After the recruitment process has started, it's not the first question you're going to ask, but then that makes the coaches have to tell you something about yourself, right? So if they cannot answer that question, then you're not high on their list yet. Doesn't mean you won't be, just means you're not yet, right? So if somebody that I don't know asks me, where do you see me fitting into your program? If I don't know them, I might ask them a whole bunch of questions first, I don't know what I would say. Maybe like, well, tell me about yourself. I don't know. I don't know what I would say, right? But like, because that means I don't know whatever. But if there's somebody I know who are recruiting, I would tell him. I'm on the men's side, but if I was a women's, coach, I would tell her. I would tell her that whatever it is. So that's a question you want to have in your pocket for later down the road, just so you know if they're interested in you. You can ask all those things, right? What are the talk about your program. You can talk about the academic performance. What are some things you guys do in your program and culture? No problem. Coaches are fine with that. Some questions not to ask. Don't start talking about scholarship money or NIL right off the bat, unless they bring it up. Don't talk about getting to the starting lineup yet. Coaches don't want a player who's just coming in assuming that they're just going to be playing, because they're special. Like, that's not a question you're going to ask first. You'll earn it. Coaches are in the business of winning. So if you're the best player for their program, they'll play you. Make sure that you know what major the school has, right? So if you want to do engineering, but the school doesn't have engineering, you don't want to ask about their engineering program, right? So make sure that you know those things, right? And then just don't be mean. Why did your team struggle, or what's the easiest class to take, and things like that. Coaches don't like those questions. Some mistakes that families make, I think, through this process is sort of just Division One or nothing. They kind of like, okay, my top list is, you know, fair enough, right? UCLA, Dartmouth, and wherever, I don't know, Washington, University of Washington. It's like, these are great schools, no problem. There's no problem in having those on your list. The only issue that if you only email and get back to and go to those camps and go to those players or go to those coaches, they have their pick of who they want from around the world. So if you don't do anything else with any other schools, you might be good enough to play college soccer, but you won't play anywhere because you didn't do the other process with the other schools. So please don't just think it's Division One, and don't just think it's Division One top end. Doesn't mean you can't reach out to those schools, but it means you should have a list of other schools that also fit the criteria of what you want. Sometimes people just don't know what to do. Analysis paralysis. So now we're telling you what to do. People don't make a target list sometimes. So make a target school list that you're going for. And then make sure you register an NCAA clearinghouse. Just Google NCAA clearinghouse. It's about $100 to be eligible for the NCAA clearinghouse, Division One or Division Two. You have to do that. You have to submit your grades. Your high school counselor has to submit grades just to make sure you're an NCAA qualifier. So you are qualified. That would happen really at the end of your junior year when you'd want to start filing it. You could do it your senior year. I did it my freshman, excuse me, the fall of my senior year, which was a little bit late, but it's okay. So you want to make sure you do your NCAA clearinghouse. So then when you have your clearinghouse number, an NCAA coach can just go to the NCAA clearinghouse, which they'll know how to do, and then they can find out if you're eligible or not. So make sure that you do have that in. And then not attending camps, about 8 out of 10 college soccer players attended a camp. So attend at least one. So attending camps is part of the process of going to play college soccer. So I just kind of want to sum it up as we get closer to the end here. Is one, know the odds and increase them in your favor, right? So learn, that was very, it's very Hunger Games. Learn about the divisions and maximize your options, right? So again, and just keep using this because it's the West Coast, but if you feel like, okay, a school like UCLA is your dream school, you have to think, well, why, right? Obviously, they have tradition, they're in Los Angeles, they're a great school. But then you say, like, well, there might be other options. So then I'll use me as an example and say, okay, well, then in Los Angeles, Occidental is also in Los Angeles. We don't have the same tradition as UCLA, but in the last 2 or 3 years, we won more championships than UCLA. So, maybe that's a thing, we're still in Los Angeles and we're a top school as well. So like maybe if you kind of also expand your list to things like that and you think about, well, what are your top opportunities that you want to play at, maybe there's some like schools that also fit your list. Create your list, right? On those things that we talked about and strategically hunt them. Invest time or money in an excellent short highlight video. Prepare personalized emails. Don't mess up the email, right? Where you're putting the wrong coach or you're putting a whole bunch of coaches on one. Just put everybody on staff in one email. That's fine. Continue to play in front of them at camps and tournaments. Become a stronger student. The better grades you have, the more opportunities you have, of course. You want to be able to have a coach that will recommend you to other college coaches. That college coach, your club coach, your high school coach, excuse me, they have to have some credibility. So I'll give you an example. If some random coach calls me from another part of the country and I don't know this coach at all, they have a little bit less credibility with me because I don't know them, right? They might be a great coach, but they would have to establish credibility with me by saying, hey, Coach Rod, I've sent 150 kids to college in my 50 years of coaching, and this player is just like these players, right? Then, okay, there's some credibility. I can look that up and find out who they've coached, and then, whatever, right? So you want to make sure that you have somebody that you're establishing that relationship to a coach who has credibility with college coaches and be willing to speak on your behalf. And then, remember the four touch points: camps, environment, coach recommendations, and highlight videos. So, with camps, some frequently asked questions that parents ask, are all camps good? Because I said 8 out of 10. No, I think there's some camps that are not good, but there are some camps that are really good, and we try to do the best we can, of course. And I feel confident and comfortable saying that we offer all the value because we're doing this pre-camp Zoom, but you're getting an evaluation. So you'll hear from a coach directly after camp, or one or two or three, depends on what you got. You'll have them coach you in games. You'll have them see you. You'll be able to experience all of that, and it'll be organized enough where you just have to focus on playing. You're learning and you're playing. But not all camps are that way. So don't assume all camps are good, and don't assume all camps are bad. That's my point, and really in this, right? Just make sure you're able to discern the difference of, is it organized? Am I getting at least value with coaches in terms of, are the coaches coaching me as opposed to just sitting on the sideline? Are we getting connections in that way as well? Do coaches recruit from them? Yes. So like I said, it's mostly assistant coaches that do recruitment, but all coaches are competitive and all coaches want to win. So if they see a player in any environment that they think is good, they're going to recruit that kid because they want to win. And if they think there's a player that's going to help them win, they'll do it. Doesn't matter where they see them. So camps do matter, and coaches do recruit from camps. And then, so let me stop sharing. So now I do want Zev, I'll take over some questions on the chat. I'll go over that. But Zev, what I want you to do now is make me back the host, Zev. And then, oh yeah, make me back the host. And then I want you to do your thing. So now Zev's gonna do some interaction with some players about their videos. If you have questions, type them in the chat. I will absolutely type them. And then the ones that I think are really good for everybody to hear, I'll announce those in the chat as well. So Zev, do your part, please.
Excellent. Hi everyone. So got lots of videos. I was actually going through and DMing some of you some feedback on your videos, but I do have here some videos set up for us to look at. And if I would love if you can actually talk to me, whoever you are, because then I can give you some more feedback. So I'm looking here at Kaya. Kaya, are you here in the Zoom meeting? If Kaya wants to say hi, I'll give you a second or two.
Hey there. Thank you for picking it.
You're welcome. I'm going to go through your video and I might ask you some questions while I do that. So I just wanted to have you here. So let's watch a little bit. I just want to say to everybody, so first of all, 4 minutes. So that's great. 2 to 4 minutes is awesome. I'd love a little profile photo picture of you. 164 people saw it. So I know people are watching the video. And if I'm a coach, I'm like, does anybody else like this girl? If it was made 3 weeks ago and it had 2 views, either she didn't send it or nobody likes it. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh, 150 other people have watched your video. So already before I've even seen a clip, I'm interested. This is why when Rod tells you guys, don't only aim for Division 1, you need lots of people to get like you to get to the big fish. It's like fishing. So already I'm excited to watch her. So now let's press play. This is the fun part. And there's a great cover page. I know I have all the interesting things. I know exactly who she is. Great circle, great initial pass. Great. I get to see another sequence, super pass. And let's see if it ends up in a goal, an assist. What a good goal and a great pass. So right there, and I know Rod's answering some questions, but I've done this with Rod many times, so I'm going to speak gently for him. We would want to see more. So I could watch more, but I want to be fair to everyone else. I can tell you right now, I'm curious. Now this one, you did not give me a circle. Is that true? No circle, no circle. You never assume we know who you are. You watch too many videos. So even if this is the one who's going to pass it, which is another, there you go. That's right. There's that. So perfect. I would start the clip a little later. Otherwise now I'm confused. And if you scored, that should be your first clip. You always put goals first. So Kaya, in my curiosity, how many calls have you had with college coaches so far?
I haven't had any yet.
No phone calls. Has anybody mentioned coming to see their team play this fall?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Now, I am the college soccer guy. Do you know do you recognize my face at all?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So so you've seen my video. So if you had never heard of me, I would feel bad for being quite this honest. But having said that, I have a genuine background. I want to help you. 2028 high academic. So that means you probably want to go to Pomona Pitzer, Oxygental, Bowdoin, Middlebury, Occidental-esque schools. So the fact that you don't have any phone calls yet is not a deal breaker by any means. But as a 28, they will be the first to tell you that like they talk to you, especially ECNLRL, 100% realistic. Beach is a great club. I'm from Southern California. Like you're doing everything right. Now, maybe you'll also, if we had more time, you might tell me, hey, Zev, but I've gotten a lot of genuine emails. And so I'm not denying you don't have interest. But the two questions I just asked are really important because the fall season is in less than a month. So first of all, you can call me. So if you click my website on my Instagram, you can just call me and I'll talk to you and your parents. But while I have you for 2 more seconds, what I would implore you is to do what we call the fall email template. Not all templates are the same, but when you work with me, I'm very specific about what we say when, because it has to be custom for every kid. But you're in the stage of fall. So the question you should say in your next email after the camp is, I'm thinking about one of coming to your games this fall. Which game should I attend? And the reason we love that question is, and you can't send it to every school, obviously. So you'd send it to SoCal schools. And we love it because it means two things. One, you can see two teams. So you could email both teams. And also the coach is like, wow, you're willing to come to my game? I'm sorry I haven't called you yet. Let's get on a phone call or let's have an official visit. And all of a sudden you went from nothing to now maybe something very real. And ability wise, I can tell you're D3 for sure, D2 for sure, but your grades are too good. So you probably want D3. D1, I would say you're a little behind the 8 ball just from where you stand in the recruiting process. I've only watched 25 seconds, so, don't take my word for it. But I would say high academic D3 is super realistic. So good luck, and I'm going to watch another video. Sound good? And you can call me if you want, Kaya.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, let's see a boys video.
Let's do a boys video. Here we go. I watched this one already, so I'll just press play. One thing I'll say is I think he's an international kid. I did an international baccalaureate when I was in high school. We want to know your GPA, even if it's not a real GPA, like just guesstimate, because we can't help you unless we know your GPA. But let's press play. So we know he's a goalkeeper, which is awesome. Super first save. Great. And look how I love that. That's awesome. We already saw this, so don't give me the clip twice. Another super save. So are you here? What's your name? Liam. Liam, are you here?
Yeah, I'm right here. Hi.
Perfect. With dad. Perfect. Liam, I just heard your voice for 2 seconds. Are you American?
No, but I go to an American school in Barcelona.
Okay, but you're in Spain.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the level, and again, Liam, I won't have time to like actually get to know your whole story, and Rod can interrupt me at any time. But I would say initially is you're a good soccer player. Like you're a good soccer player. College soccer is for sure.
Thank you.
My biggest concern is I don't know your GPA. So what is your GPA?
Yeah. It's a 3.7 unweighted because
that's fantastic. So that's great. So now high academic. My biggest concern is you live far away. So every single coach, especially at the D1 level, is going to tell you, hey, you're really good. I need to see you. Now, if you have, like you're playing in the Barcelona world, if you say coaches will come see you, in my experience, which may differ to Rod's and other coaches, it is very hard for coaches to come see players abroad, make a decision on them, and sign them because they only can see you a couple times. Hence why you're coming to this camp. So this camp for you is brilliant and great and super important. It may require you to come to more than one camp, but the video itself, I'd add your GPA. I got to go look at your other videos and stuff. Like Barcelona, if it's legit Barcelona, like I don't think you're part of La Masia. So if that's not the case, then you need to specify more what it is, because otherwise the coach is like, you look pretty good, but maybe your players that you play against suck. I know it sounds cool to be abroad because I played for Fulham when I was a kid. Like it was cool, but did I actually play for Fulham's first team? No. So the coach is like, we don't really know what you are. We don't know how good you are. Rod, anything else?
I'm looking forward to seeing this kid.
There we go. So that's a great sign. So, and that's why I picked it, because I thought Rod would like your video because I was looking at it before. You are good. You are good. And you're coming to America. So that's great. So my only concern again, when we work with internationals, we tell them like they need 15 to 30 videos. They need 150 emails. They need conversations on the phone before they come to America because it's a big trip for you. So having said that, Rod just told you he's looking forward to seeing you. So that's great. I would say to dad, who might be sitting next to you, if you want to schedule a call with me, let me know and we can do that later. Sound good?
Okay. Thank you. Well, we've already had a call with you, but
I know I saw that. I just want to make sure so everyone else can pretend. And it's awesome to see you guys again. Excellent.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, keep at it and we'll talk very soon. Okay,
Yeah.
let's
Right.
do.
Well, does anybody, and just again, I just want to make sure that, so that's the video part, but if anybody has any other questions, just type them in. Like I said, I can see them and I can answer them as well. Just want to make sure if you have questions, not necessarily about video stuff. I mean, it can be about videos. We'll just do maybe one more video. This will be the last video. But I just want to make sure that I answer all your questions. Is just we're kind of wrapping up somewhat. Is I just want I just want to help everybody get to college soccer, and I want to answer every question that I can, and just bringing the coaches to you guys is the most important thing, and then making sure that you guys have the connections to them as we do this. So again, just please ask any questions you have, and just understand that as a resource, I'll be a resource for you guys to help however I can with any coach as we progress through this process. So, all right, last video.
Excellent. Okay. Um, this video I clicked on is an hour and 33 minutes. So I'm going to skip over this video because that's too long. So whoever sent this video, you can send this if somebody specifically requests a full game video, but otherwise never send that video because that does not work.
Say you're
Okay.
gonna say.
Yeah, my fault. I sent the wrong video in the chat.
That's okay. Here, look, I can go on your YouTube page. Let me see here.
Oh, he went on his YouTube page.
I can click a different one. Looks like 11 minutes. It's still too long, but I'm sure there's good highlights in here. So let's do it. Let's do it again. So circle-ish too quick.
I
probably
just sent
for-
my like highlight one in the chat.
in the chat. I'm afraid
This
I won't
is like
find it
a
'cause
all
there's so many
touches.
messages. I'm gonna just take a look just because of time, Finn. I'm just gonna
Okay.
do this one really quickly.
This is not.
Um. Okay, there's my circle. Good. Okay, you can see why it's 11 minutes long. So I will tell you, and you maybe have a proper highlight video. And Finn, I'm happy to speak to you. You just heard I spoke to Liam. Liam is somebody that we've talked to already, and this is what I do for a living. So I'm happy to go deeper into this. I'm gonna do a different video, another person, Finn. But Finn, you can call me and we can talk more. Okay, this is Jack Millette. One last one. Jack, I saw this video already, and I actually messaged you about it on the chat. It's way too long again of a video because nobody's gonna get to watch the rest of it. But 6 foot, I'm 5'4", so like that never worked in my favor. You look like Tim Ream, so that's great. Big, tall, left-footed kid, great goal. That's awesome. I would say like it looked like a scrimmage. So like to me, this clip tells me a lot more about you than headering it in. I can't really tell what that was. That was awesome. That's super. What you just did, that's highlight worthy. That's really good. Now, what I would encourage you is see how like I can barely see you. This is what we do with the students with our videos. I can zoom in like this, and now it's just so much better for us coaches because we watch so many freaking videos. So that said, I think I messaged you like you are a high level soccer player as well, and you played in ECNL. And when you say the final, I don't know, maybe you meant final video, but does that mean the final of a tournament? You play for Marin. We have I personally work with a lot of kids from Marin. Anyways, you're a good soccer player, so that's awesome. We're almost out of time here, so I'll let Rod kind of finish, but I will just add as a wraparound. One, I will put my information in the chat. So if anybody wants to reach out, and what we do is we review your video for free on our first call. You'll speak to me or a member of my team, and we'll go through your video, and then we'll ask you questions like I did of Kiara, I think her name was, saying, how many calls do you have, what's happening? Because like Rod, I just want to help as many people as I can. I post videos all day long for free, and we want to help you. Of course, eventually I do charge a fee for my services, but we have custom plans for everybody. We just want you to get the help you need. I love what I do. And I'm just going to put here, if you look me up on Instagram at Zev Football, I'll also leave my email and my phone number is my cell phone number. So that way, if you guys have a question, you can text me and go, hey, Zev, I have a question. I will direct you to book a call with us just because we do get quite a few bookings, which is exciting. And we only work with so many kids, but I really enjoyed going over your videos. You guys have a lot of potential and the camp will be epic for you. I'm super excited for you guys to get to go.
Yeah, so let me just ask. So there's a few questions that I've come across that I want to address. So there's a question about D3 schools that don't. It says D3 schools that don't recruit like MIT and Caltech. And so the first one, I just want to be clarified that MIT and Caltech recruit heavily, let alone all the other Division III institutions. I would say in my experience now, as opposed to, and I've been coaching now 17 years, but when I started, maybe not all programs recruited all their players. Every single college program, I would say now, has a full lineup of recruited players. Like, I don't think actually walk-ons exist anymore. I don't know. I mean, there might be some programs where that happens, but not a lot. So you have to assume that you have to go through the recruiting process with every single school. The concept maybe, or the thought that it's just like you just show up and hope to try out, that's pretty much doesn't exist anymore. It hardly existed before, but it doesn't exist now. So please plan on going through the recruiting process with every school, very much so. So I do want everybody to understand that as well. So that one,
Can
I
I
think
add
was
one more thing to that, Rod? Oh, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna add. You mentioned the timeline, and Rod will tell you because he's at a high academic. They tend to be earlier, meaning they do ED1 and ED2, which is November 15th and January 1st. So Obviously, Rena, Kim, you can talk to me later if you want to, or Rod at the camp, or frankly, you can talk to the schools themselves. But depending on how old your student is, which would be the next question I'd have back at you, they just for everyone else listening, high academics, which are majority of you, do get done with recruiting earlier because of the timelines.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap that up is what y'all have homework tonight. Firstly, try to start making your list. Think about what's important to you. Are the academics, what geography, right? The size of school, all of those things that we talked about on our list. I'll send this email recording out so you have it. Make sure that you're emailing, connecting with coaches now, coaches that are going to be at camp, and then coaches in general in the process. Make sure you're updating your highlight video, making it clear, making it good. Make sure you're thinking about which coaches would vouch for you, right, as you go through this process. And then make sure you're ready to kick some butt. Ultimately, you can do all of these things right. But if your feet don't do the talking, and when it comes to playing, when it comes to showcasing yourself, right, you're not playing well, that is a part of the process too. You still have to perform. So they're just keeping that in mind and make sure you're rested, make sure that you're strong, healthy, eating well, sleeping well. All those things matter when it comes to performing in front of coaches. So again, we just want to help. I'll stay here and ask any questions that anybody has, but otherwise, I'll just answer any questions in the chat. But everybody else is free to go. If you want to stay and see the answers of the questions in the chat, I'm happy to do it. And I will send this this video out to everybody. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for taking the time, pretty much an hour on the dot. So we hope you guys are doing well, and we'll see you guys, girls, Friday, Saturday, boys, Saturday, Sunday. Have a good night. Let's see. Josh and Haley, the coaches are up there. The coaches are viewable they're on the website. Every coach that's on the website is updated. So every coach is on the website. Those are updated. If there's any changes that happen, I'll update them actually tonight. We did get one coach that has to change his availability, but everything is updated on the website. The website is live in terms of which coaches will be there. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Zeb, thank you, sir. All right, you guys have a great night. And again, I'll send this to you. Take care. Thanks, Zev. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. See you, man.
Bye. I think I'm still in control of the Zoom. Okay. Have a great night, guys. Bye.